Hello everyone, it is Jess here, and first of all, let me apologize for this video being just a little bit late. I did try to get the video filmed and edited on time, but when I filmed it at a different time of day, and the lighting was horrendous. I thought I'd better just refilm this and start over, because I would rather give you guys a quality video than a subpar video. Thank you for having patience with me. Moving on to the subject that you guys clicked on this video for, which is my October reading wrap-up, as well as my November to be read. I read 4 books this month, and they were all really actionified and awesome, or at least really interesting, so let's talk about them. First book that I completed in the month of October was a book called Monster by Frank Peretti. This book is about a husband and wife named Reed and Beck, and they decide to go on a wilderness trip with another couple that they are friends with. Beck and Reed go up into the forest first, and they hear a lot of crazy sounds, and there is a weird creature walking through the woods that they start running from. Beck subsequently gets kidnapped by this said mysterious thing. And the whole rest of the book is basically Reed and his friends and some of the people in the town trying to find Beck. Monster was a little different than what I thought it was going to be, but it was actually in a really good way. Because I guess I thought, because of the title, that it was going to have like a supernatural element or some kind of thing going on with it. But it's actually kind of more on a science fiction tip. So it's definitely like a thriller with a science fiction element, which I thought was really cool. I also thought that it was cool that it was like that because this is also a Christian fiction book. It was a very cool thing to say that, hey, you can have a science-involved book and be a Christian book. I thought it was really well researched in the science department when he used those things. So I thought it was cool that this book kind of explored that, as well as really having great character development, really having great action scenes. It was definitely something that was a page turner because there was like points where you were yelling at the book. I was like, no, there are too many people with guns in these woods, and it's scaring me just a little bit because you're not hunting a bear, okay? So I had to give this 5 stars. Next book that I completed was Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. This is about an older musician named Jude. He has acquired quite a weird occult collection. To add to his strange collection, Jude finds online that he can purchase the suit of a dead man, which is said to be inhabited by said restless spirit. And that was probably not Jude's smartest idea. So basically, Jude and his girlfriend go through a lot of hoops to get rid of this ghost, who is very, very crazy. If your ghost problem requires a road trip, it's not a good situation. This has been on my shelf for a really long time, and I thought, I need to get to that because I bet it's pretty good. And it was really excellent. I felt like it was really well written. I felt like the characters were really well developed. Some of them were like, I do not like you, mostly the ghosts. But the main protagonist characters were also super well developed, and I love seeing how Jude and his girlfriend Georgia like developed as people individually, and also how their relationship developed through the insanity of what was going on with this book. And yes, it is insane. I will say that it does take you to some disturbing places. I also liked how he used different music in this book. It was cool because the main character is a musician. Now, I do not suggest listening to said music while reading this book, because for me that was really disturbing, which is why there's not a book playlist for this book. And I'm like not easily freaked out. None of the disturbingness freaked me out. It was like the music plus this book. Regardless, I had Heart-Shaped Box by Nirvana in my head for several days, as well as a few other songs that are mentioned in here, because you just can't help it. Yet again, it's another page turner. You just have to know what's going to happen, and You have to see how they're going to get out of crazy situations and what they're going to do. I personally really enjoyed it and gave it 5 stars. The next book that I completed was the second book in the Peter and the Starcatchers series, which is Peter and the Shadow Thieves by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson. This series is a prequel series to the Peter Pan story, so it's a reimagining as well as a prequel series, and it's basically about Peter, how he became Peter Pan, as well as different things that happen in the Peter Pan story, because Peter often has his adventures with Wendy's mother, Molly. This is a new adventure in which Peter kind of has to save Molly from this really dark shadow thief kind of creature dude. If you can tell by his picture, he's a nasty piece of work. I think I may have loved the second book maybe more than the first book, and I love the first book so much. So that is saying a lot. It had the same amount of action as the first book, which I thought was really excellent, but it was a very different kind of action. I felt like the stakes were a lot higher in this book, which made it even more entertaining. There were very set goals, and I was like, you need to accomplish these goals now, honeys, because you're scaring me a little bit. Maybe that's just because the villain was extra super creepy in this one. He can still shadows, so not cool. It's a creepy power, and I really kind of liked how they like imagined that power, and they made it so interesting. And yeah, just wacky fun, adventurism yet again, and I just loved it, loved it, loved it. I'm very excited to check out the next 2 books and see what they have to offer. I'm hoping it's going to be the same quality as this one, because the quality of this one to me was just super good, and I'm ready to learn more about the world and the Starcatchers and everything about that as well, because I think there's still some mysteries there. I think by my obvious excitement about this book that you can guess that I gave it 5 stars. The last book that I completed in the month of October was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I think a lot of people probably know what this is about. In short, this is about a man named Victor Frankenstein who creates a monster and doesn't really take responsibility for that monster, and that monster wreaks havoc and vows revenge on Frankenstein. Victor really should have thought his monster creationness through before he did it. I kind of felt the need to just slightly deviate from my to be read that I'd set for October, because I bought this new fabulous book and I wanted to check it out and read it, because I have watched a few documentaries about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein, and I have, you know, watched a lot of different movies that use this story, and then I realized this year that, wait, Jazz, you've never read that book, and you probably should. So I decided to go ahead and give it a go. Now, I admit I was a little concerned when I opened it and saw that it started with letters from not even a main character in this book. Little concerned, because epistolary novels, which are novels written in letters and documents, have not always been my friend. The main reason why Bram Stoker's Dracula was semi-boring to me, even though it had some good points, was because it's an epistolary novel. So I was like, ooh, letters. I don't know about this. But you know what? I thought, I'm not going to write off the book. Maybe they're really good letters. And for the most part, it's just really the first part and the back part that are letters. The whole story is technically kind of a letter, but it comes off to me more as a journal. It's not just continuous letterness. So it definitely worked for me because of the way Mary Shelley kind of planned it out. I really enjoyed the concepts that this book talks about creation and responsibility towards creation, and different things about science, how science could kind of be scary if you don't like really think about what you're doing, and different things like that. It definitely explores a lot of interesting concepts and a lot of different kinds of feelings and things like that. And I thought that is a really cool element of this book, and it's especially cool because Mary Shelley wrote this when she was like 18 or 19, so like, you go girl. What I found really interesting about this is that Victor is telling the story to this explorer, Robert Walton, and he never wants to tell Robert how the monster was created because he doesn't want him to do a similar thing or anybody to do the same thing. So he never tells anybody how he created life, which I thought was really interesting because if you've ever watched anything film related to Frankenstein, that is really a moment of emphasis. And there really is not very much emphasis on that in the book because he doesn't want people to know how he did it. He's like, learn from my mistakes and don't do this, peeps. I thought that was a really interesting element, the way she approached that. She really wanted it to be more about the after effect. Now, I will say there were some things that I didn't quite love about this book. There were moments when I did feel the need to scan a little bit because maybe it got a little too wordy in the language about landscape. There was maybe a little story in there that maybe wasn't totally important to the book as a whole, and I might have scanned those just a little bit, but regardless of that, I did think, even though it's very like word filled and there are like these flourishing sentences, for the most part that really worked for me, and sometimes that doesn't, but it did work for me in this because they were very well focused, I thought, for the most part. Other than that, I definitely was glad that I read it. I would definitely reread this book, and I thought it was entertaining, and it was actually weirdly a very relaxing read for me. I don't know if that's weird that I say that, but it was very relaxing to me. So I definitely think it's a good book, and I gave it 4 stars. On to my to be read for November. I only really have one book on my list that I must finish in November, and it's not actually a book, it is a play, and it is King Lear by William Shakespeare, because I meant to get to it last year and I never got to it, and I meant to get to it earlier this year and I never got to it, so I'm going to get to it, and I actually think it's going to be a pretty nice fall read. Other than this, I think I'm just going to try to finish a lot of the books that I started a really long time ago and play the rest by ear and see what I want to read and just have a little like mood read fun. That is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about these books, and we'll check out all of them because they were all super great this month. It's going to be a 2-video week this week. There's going to be a video up on Sunday, and I think it's going to be music themed this time, so I hope you will check that out as well. And thank you for watching. See you later.